Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Football Politics. My name is Jimmy, and this is the channel where we discuss the beautiful game known around the world as well as the things surrounding it. Today, we are going to continue our series, The Top 10, where we discuss the top 10 European football clubs as they progress throughout the season and look who makes the top 10 after each progressive week. So, if we want to take back a look at the first week, I guess you could say, of the last video, where we decided to rank our top 10. I'll go ahead and let everybody who wants to go back and check that out take a minute. The link is down in the description to that video. You can check out that top 10. All right, without further ado, last week we had our top 10, which was a bit lenient considering who had played, who hadn't played, how many games they've played, and where they were positioned throughout the season so far in terms of when their league actually wanted to get started and when they were able to. So we look at the last week, we had in first, we had Bayern Munich. Second, we had Sevilla. Third, Liverpool. Fourth, Juve. Fifth was Man City. Sixth was Real Madrid. Seventh was Internazionale. Eighth was Barcelona. Ninth was Atalanta. And 10th was RB Leipzig. And these were the conditions that I had set at the beginning, just based on kind of how they were going to start, or based on partial results of last season, where I thought they should be ranked. While the first video we did in this series was based on the entirety of last season, that was basically like a give and go, where they were starting and where they could potentially be at. I did want to make one correction for those who might have caught it. No, Barcelona did not beat Valencia in the Copa del Rey. That was 2 seasons ago. My apologies. The Copa del Rey actually, if I'm not, was suspended for the final and has not been played out. But those finalists will be in the Super Cup for La Liga. So that will play out as normal, but they have not actually played the final of the Copa del Rey for the end of last season. So moving forward, now we look at the top 10 that we're going to have for this week. There have been some crazy and stunning results around Europe, where we have seen some giants come down back to earth, and where we have seen controversy with the new IFAB rule that has been put into play regarding handballs. So whether your team has benefited from it or not is definitely something to take more of a look at and see what and how that's going to progress throughout the season. Anyway, as we start, let's go to number 1, and surprisingly to some, maybe they are going to retain their spot. It's Bayern Munich in first place. The reason why I have done so is because they have won the Super Cup, the UEFA Super Cup, against Sevilla. And so no matter whether or not they won or lost, they were still going to go to the Club World Cup. But for the result and who they had to face, the UEFA Europa finalists, the winners, they beat Sevilla 2-1 in a very tough match. They really pushed Bayern, but it was a very tough game, and you could see that in their next game that they played, where they lost for the first time in a long time to Hoffenheim, 4-1. If you had a chance to check out that game or watch it live, it was a fantastic display, particularly Kramaric. He did so much work up top to really terrorize Bayern's back line and had some clinical finishes. Bayern, I believe, are just a bit drained, and you cannot say that one loss after so many undefeated games is unexpected. Eventually, you will lose. It's just a matter of when. And when this time they did lose, it was quite a big and stunning loss. So we'll see how they bounce back. If you're going to be a true champion, you bounce back well. You don't let one loss discourage you too much. Now, yes, Lewandowski did start on the bench, so he was not directly involved the entire game. We can see this in later that Man City also kind of were hurt by not having their goal scorers up front for them against Leicester this weekend. And as we're recording this, this is Monday, so actually the final two games of the Premier League, as well as the one in Serie A, has just finished up. So those games have taken place. So even though, like I said, they lost to Hoffenheim, they are still in very good position. They've beaten Schalke 8-0 last week. They've won the Super Cup this week against Sevilla, and then came back down to earth, losing to Hoffenheim 4-1. Still good team. I believe they'll bounce back. And if they do struggle, even last year they did struggle, but they came back and won the Bundesliga in convincing fashion. So moving on to second, another retainee of their spot is Sevilla. Now Sevilla is one of the tricky situations that I had for this top 10, simply because they were in the competition for the UEFA Super Cup. So while they are only runners-up, because there was only two people who could compete, they were in that competition. They were fighting for a big trophy, in my opinion. And while they lost 2-1, they really gave Bayern the business. They really pushed them. I thought they had a great game, given what they had and who they were up against. And in their first league game back, they beat Cadiz 3-1. So they're off to a really good start with one game played and one victory. And so kudos to them. Long may it continue for them. But we'll see how they continue, and will they be able to retain their second spot. You'll notice from the top 10 as we continue that normally for the start of the season, I like to go ahead and choose those who are in the biggest competitions. So for me, obviously you have your domestic cups, then you have your league title, and then you have the European competitions, specifically the Europa League and the Champions League, with Champions League being a Tier 1 competition and the Europa League being a Tier 2. But as we'll see, this is the last season that those will be the only two European competitions. Next season, there will be a Tier 3 right below Europa League, and it will take away some of the amount of teams that were involved in Europa League and move those down into a Tier 3, which we will discuss in another video. So moving on to number 3, we have Liverpool. Now, Liverpool, for me, have done a fantastic job, and today they dispatched Arsenal 3-1 with their new signing, Diego Jota, getting the goal after substituting for, I believe it was Sadio Mane, who had a very good game, to say the least, but he was substituted, and Diego Jota was allowed to showcase his skills, and while it wasn't the crispest of, I believe, half volleys, however you want to say, but still accurate, and Leno basically was frozen. So anytime you make the goalkeeper frozen, you know it was an accurate strike. So, but yeah, Liverpool, yes, they did lose in their domestic cup, one of their domestic cups that is available to them, the Community Shield, to Arsenal. Who were the FA Cup winners, which is why they even got to face Liverpool. We'll be actually talking about domestic cups and how they work in our next video if you're interested. That will be available. We'll be posting that on Friday. This one will be going up on Tuesday. So, but they did lose the Community Shield 2-1 to Arsenal. First game of the season. Still a big competition, but as the season goes on, you notice that the league title is much more important. than that beginning domestic cup or trophy, and the Champions League being in my opinion, the top tier trophy to win at all costs. Now, as teams level out, as the Champions League progresses, some of those teams will be knocked out, and that league position, that league title, will definitely play a little bit more of an importance if the rest of the teams from that league are also knocked out of the competition. Looking ahead, Liverpool definitely off to a great start. 3 wins in 3. While they had a shaky start against Leeds, they took care of Chelsea, and this week they dispatched Arsenal, like I said, 3-1. So they are in convincing position right now with 3 wins in 3. And as you may notice, I'm wearing my Aston Villa shirt today, my jersey. This is an older version of it, back when they were in the Premier League before they were demoted, unfortunately. They also got the win today against Fulham away at Craven Cottage 3-0, and I am very delighted with that. So not every day you can say Aston Villa's in 4th place. We'll definitely take this great start that we've had. Moving to 4th, we've got a possibly a surprise pick to some. We've got RB Leipzig. Now, RB Leipzig have this one possibly has to do more so for me why I've put them here based on their last season results. But they are one of the top teams in the Bundesliga right now. I think that's without a doubt. And we had 2 Bundesliga teams, 2 major contenders, lose. We saw Dortmund go down, and we saw Bayern Munich go down. So while RB Leipzig, they drew to Lever. Well, actually, they beat Mainz first. They drew to Leverkusen this time around, and that's it's a good draw to have. If that's one of the other top Bundesliga teams. So they're on 4 points right now, ahead of Dortmund and Bayern Munich right now. But for me, they're doing just fine so far. Very credible results, and they're going to take my 4th spot. And the reason they'll take my 4th spot is because, as you'll see, some of the teams below them, while they have done just as well, they are surprisingly a lot shakier in their performances, and we'll see how they continue. So as we move forward, we have our 5th position, and that will go to Juventus. Juventus are one of those that have had a shaky start, no doubt. First, they beat Sampdoria 3-0 under Andrea Pirlo, his first game in the league, managing Juventus. All's well and good, right? And then they have this big matchup against AS Roma at the Stadio Olimpico, with some fans in the stadium that night. But they came away and they had good possession play, but possession is not everything. And AS Roma were punishing them on the counterattack. And if it was not for Dzeko missing some clear-cut chances for a striker of his quality, this game could have been over well before Cristiano Ronaldo had the chance to bring Juventus back into the game. One with a penalty, and second with a great hanging header to equalize for Juventus. Bit of an AS Roma not capitalizing, and Juventus taking the chance, even though they were actually down to 10 men for some time during that game. So for them, they're in 5th because while they did get a draw, not another win, it was against quality opposition in the league for who they're up against, away from home. Pirlo's second game, we'll see how he adjusts now. But 4 points after 2 games, not bad considering who they're playing. You expect them possibly to always beat Sampdoria. Roma, actually beat them at the end of last season, even though Juventus were trailing off. So to get the draw away from home, not bad. You always, if you're going to be that sort of team, want to see yourself always win every single game. But you almost make sure you always win at home, and worst case scenario, you draw away from home. you're going to have the best results there. If you get the wins away from home, they're even more special. It's crucial you don't lose your home matches, but sometimes those things happen. And I'm sure the lack of crowds being in the stadiums is definitely playing a part, because if you had more of the atmosphere, the home team would definitely have more chances to put pressure on the away teams. So, moving onwards, we go into our sixth spot, and we now have Real Madrid, who are in the spotlight here for some controversy, shall we say. A bit shaky for them too. Now, Real Betis actually, I believe by goal difference with their matches played and how many points they have, they're actually still leading La Liga at this time. Now, yes, not every team has played 2 matches, but they were technically in the lead. And Real Madrid came back and got the win against them 3-2, with Real Betis having a man sent off as well in that match. Again, you start off with the goalless draw. It's not bad. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely not good. And then you get a win after that. And sometimes, if you're going to be champions of a league, if you're going to be at the top of a league, you've got to grit it out sometimes and get those wins that maybe you shouldn't have gotten, but you worked hard and you got the result. Just like away from home, sometimes it's not always against your favor, but you grind it out, especially for those teams who don't have the skill, don't have the talent as some of the big teams. Soaking up that pressure sometimes is the necessary thing, because if you try to play too fancy, you'll just get overrun, and sometimes it's about playing smart. Real Madrid, we probably, as football fans, maybe expect them to beat Real Betis, but they did, and they have moved here into the 6th position here in our top 10. So we move along now into 7th, and this is where we'll start to see some of the teams who possibly you might be surprised about, but we shouldn't really forget about, because they are also doing the business as well in their leagues, and this is quite something. We'll see how far they can press teams and possibly move up the table. It's going to be difficult because they've got strong opposition in front of them, but if you're always nipping at the heels, sometimes those big dogs slip and you can sprint ahead of them. So we're going to look at number 7, and this is going to be Rennes from Ligue 1. Right now they're top of the league. That's not PSG you see up there. That's not Lyon. That's not Marseille. That's not even the likes of Lille or Bordeaux, perhaps. But it is Rennes, and they are doing a fantastic job. They are 4 wins and 1 draw after 5 matches played. And they've actually played, if we look at last season, they actually have faced 3 teams from the top half of the finish of the Ligue 1. So they start off with a draw against Lille, 1-1. They beat Montpellier 2-1. They beat Nîmes Olympique 4-2, and then they beat Monaco 2-1. So some strong opposition. Now, Nîmes actually used to be in the top half. They had a downward season, and Monaco was actually up there. And if you look 2 seasons ago, Monaco was actually in the bottom half, and Nîmes Olympique was actually in the top half. Strange how things work. But yeah, there you are. I mean, not too long ago, we were seeing Monaco make a push in the Champions League with the players they have before. Just like Ajax, their players were getting poached for their talent. But yeah, Rennes doing a fantastic job so far, leading the league in Ligue 1, and they're doing what they can. They're facing the opposition that is in front of them and getting the results. So yeah, we're gonna move on to 8th position. We have Porto. If you're following the Portuguese league, then you know that Porto are doing some work. If you're a Benfica fan or a Braga fan, Sporting Braga fan, you may not be liking what Porto has been doing. Porto, by all means, in the Champions League, had a disappointing season. They are actually in the group draw because of their finish last season, this time around, but disappointing for their results last season. So they'll be trying to make up for that. But yeah, Porto here have 2 wins. They've faced Braga, which they beat 3-1, and they beat Boa Vista. I believe that's how you pronounced it. 5-0. So 2 wins and 2. Pretty good. As of right now, they are leading the Portuguese league. And they also, this is difficult to measure, I suppose, because this competition would have happened in May if not for COVID-19 happening around the world and postponing games and competitions the way it has. But the Taça de Portugal was supposed to take place in May. That didn't get to happen. So it was postponed until August 1st. Now, yes, this was a while ago, and yes, I started making these videos after that, but I wanted to bring attention to Porto right now because that's still a great result. And what I mean by that is they faced Benfica for the Taça de Portugal. And they beat Benfica 2-1. And then they've had these other 2 wins. So they've faced some pretty good competition as well for in front of them. So while that technically is the Portuguese Cup from last year, they finished that competition. It was played this before the season started, but just a month and a half ago, almost 2 months ago now. But that's still a great result from them. They've definitely, I think, are deserving of being here in this top 10, regardless of the league they play in, regardless of the competition they're playing. They're getting the results, and I think they deserve to be here. In ninth, we're going to see Zenit St. Petersburg. They are also doing well in their league. They are top of the Russian league. They have actually played the most games that I've seen so far from a league. They've played 9 games, and they have 6 wins, 2 draws, and a loss so far, but they are leading their league. They just beat FC Ufa 6-0. So yeah, they're having good results overall. They're doing what they're supposed to win the league again. But just kind of making sure that they're fit, making sure they're getting the results they need, making sure that their team is in form, so that when the UEFA Champions League group stages do occur, they will be actually ready for it and be able to compete at the highest level. That's what you can only expect from your best teams. Not much more from them right now, but they are definitely shining a light that they deserve to be here in the top 10 after the results so far. Maybe it has helped that they've played the most matches, so we can kind of measure them a little bit better than some of the other teams. You know, it's difficult when you've only played 1 or 2 matches to really say, oh, you deserve to be in the top 10 amongst Europe. But I think with 9 matches played, leading their league so far, they definitely deserve to be here in our top 10. And our final remaining spot will be mentioned here in a second, but I always have to give some honorable mentions. And that has to go to the teams who did not make my top 10 this week because they have only played 1 match. And you might be saying, well, Jimmy, what? You had Sevilla in there. Yes, but Sevilla were playing in the UEFA Super Cup. Tell me any of these other teams that were doing so and still have 1 win to their name. And that I am mentioning to some big hitters who we might see later on in the season become part of the top 10. We shall see. And that goes to Internazionale, Atlanta, Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid. They have only played their 1 game so far, but they and Lazio. I apologize, Lazio fans. those teams have only played the one match. They've only got their one win. But because other teams and other leagues have played a few more games, I judge them a little bit higher so far. If we're mixing it up, if teams have played 4 games or 3 games and they played 2 and they have a better result overall, we could see them push up, especially because in terms of strength of league, not only based on my opinion, but based on UEFA's coefficients of how the teams, the clubs, the leagues are set up based on the position of how they perform in Europe, and how they perform in their leagues, the way that it is. The Serie A and La Liga are ahead of other leagues, such as the Russian league or possibly the Portuguese league. So that's how it falls. I don't make up the rules for that. I go by what is done, and for the history of where those leagues are, it speaks for itself. So can't really argue too much on that, but we may see them in the future. But I thought I'd give a shout out to them because they've had some really good starts. I mean, you wouldn't have expected some of the score lines that we saw. Barcelona coming out with a 4-0, I believe it was, against Villarreal. Atletico Madrid putting 6 past the team. I don't remember the last time Atletico put up that many goals. Usually they're, I shouldn't say afraid to, but usually you don't see them go too far past 2 or 3. So 6 is quite a number for them. Inter getting a good result, Lazio getting a good result, and even Atlanta getting that 4-2 result as well. So they're on their way. They're on their way. We probably will see them later on, but that remains to be seen. So onwards to the 10th and final position, we have Ajax. 3 wins and 3 last, beating Vitesse 2-1. Even though they were down a man, they've played 3 games. That's more than some of these other teams have placed. I know they may be in an inferior league based on the qualifications set by UEFA, not by me, by UEFA. But they are leading their league as well, and that is important at the start of these rankings and continuing on the way, because even if you don't do so well in the cups, even if you get knocked out early in some of the domestic cups, leading your league always puts you in my good graces, I believe, to make a top 10, because you're doing everything you can to win the league title, and that league title is important. It is substantial in how you are viewed to your peers around the league, the other clubs, as well as Europe. If you are number 1 team from your league, you are representing that league at the highest level, and they expect you. Maybe your rivals expect you to lose, but they expect you to do well because of the success that you've brought and that you showcase week in and week out. So in 10th place, Ajax, 3 wins and 3. I can't argue with that. They're going to sneak in here at my 10th position. So yeah, we will see what happens this next week. We'll see if some of the any more upsets happen that we saw, like Man City falling out of our top 10 after losing to Leicester City 5-2. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the season goes forward. I look very much forward to seeing you guys next Tuesday for another update on our power rankings of the top 10. Thank you so much for being here and watching. If you did like it so much, if you want to like it, that'd be great. If you feel inclined to, you may also subscribe. I thank you very much if you do. It really helps this channel grow and encourages me that I'm doing well and putting out great videos. So thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful morning, day, evening, night, wherever you are. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.